How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Well, I'm back. I hear Oreo tried to steal the show yesterday. Ain't gonna be seeing that guy for a while. But I thank him for doing the show. I thank all of the Twitch homies who helped raise the money to pay his exorbitant appearance fee. But now it is time to get back to normal, everybody. I apologize. Some of you I know like the Oreo show, but this is a wrestling news show. So we got to talk about news here today. And we got a lot of it, by the way. It's a very exciting day. It's Wednesday, you know what that means. Tonight is AEW Dynamite from the UBS Arena. So we'll tell you about that show coming up tonight. We've also got an update, somewhat of an update, not really an update, but somewhat of an update on Jeff Hardy. So we'll talk about that. Great news, Hacksaw Jim Duggan announced that he is cancer-free, posted an update on Wednesday. Said, I just want to share with everybody the great news I just received that my cancer was all encapsulated inside my prostate. They checked my bones, came out clear. Surrounding tissue came out clear. Lymph nodes came out clear. Thank God I am cancer-free. Second bout with cancer for Hacksaw. He had kidney cancer 20 years ago, now prostate cancer. Remember, he says, early detection saves lives. Merry Christmas. So, best wishes to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That's great news there. We have Raw ratings. Raw ratings, to say not good, to be an understatement, all-time record low. The 18 to 49 was stunningly low, so we'll tell you about that. Also got some other AEW notes. NXT 2.0, we had the big interview at the end of the show with Johnny Gargano addressing his future. We'll tell you about that and plenty more as well. Also, in the final segment of the show today, we have a special guest. Matt Cross will be joining us to talk all sorts of things, including MLW. He is wrestling tonight against Enzo. A lot to get into today. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Back at the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. You know, I really appreciate all of our new viewers on Twitch and YouTube, Sports Byline, but, man, can we smarten some of these people up? This guy wants to know why we're having connection issues. It's called a commercial. It's a radio show. We have commercials multiple times during the hour to pay the bills. Not a connection issue. Come on now. Well, Mike is not here today. Well, he's here, but he's represented by Giraffe, as usual. Now, that is an issue.
That is a connection issue, unfortunately, right now with video.
Always on Sempervive's end for some reason.
Always on Sempervive's end.
Yeah.
Okay.
When's the last time I didn't have video?
Bryan,
I'm just wondering.
Is this really how you want to start your show? You even found a way to bury me yesterday during the Oreo show when I was explaining something, and Oreo had to say snottily under its fat little breath that, oh, hurry up, we only got an hour show.
What?
Yeah, I heard that.
What do you mean Oreo said that?
I heard Oreo say that.
First off, I wasn't even here. Second off, Oreo is a very friendly, unlike me, he's a very friendly person. Well, he's a whale.
Wait a second. Oreo's exactly. It's a whale, not a person. But
he's a mammal.
Apparently, he's a bastard, too, or at least Bryan Alvarez is, because that's what Oreo called you.
Well, that's all fine and good. I mean, whatever. All right. Matt Hardy addressed Jeff being sent home from the road during his Twitch stream on Monday, saying, I did speak to Jeff for a little bit today. He is okay. He's good. I think he'll be fine. But once again, this isn't my business. And if he wants to go into it in more detail, then he will do it himself. But Jeff is okay. He is at home, and he is okay. So we still don't know anything more. He was doing a house show this weekend, tag match. They're getting the heat on him. He sold and sold and sold. And then he made a hot tag, and he left through the crowd. And then he was sent home from the tour. And as noted, all we know is that he's at home and okay. So hopefully it is, I don't want to say nothing. Obviously, it's something. But hopefully on the scale of possible things it could be, it would be low. But that's the update on Jeff Hardy from his brother. Raw ratings on Monday night. This show died due to monster competition. from the New England Patriots versus Buffalo Bills NFL game. Raw on Monday set its all-time record low, an 0.35 rating in 18 to 49, which breaks the old record set on October 18th of 0.39. The old record was 0.39. This was 0.35. So they didn't barely break the old record low. They easily, handily broke the old all-time record low. SmackDown and Rampage on Friday also had a huge drop at 18 to 34, although with those shows, it was men. Raw collapsed with men and women. It was back to the usual pattern, with more people watching Hour 1. The 3-hour drop of 10% was not major itself. Well, that's because it was low. And due to the over 50 audience, the show's largest by far being well above usual levels, total audience of 1.60 million was only the 9th lowest in history. That's the good news. They were only the 9th lowest in history in terms of overall viewers. The football game, 14.91 million viewers, a 4.49 at 18 to 49, and a 4.49 at 18 to 49. If you're wondering where those people were that weren't watching Raw, airings on ESPN and ESPN2. Raw was 8th in 18 to 49, trailing 6 NFL-related shows on ESPN, Below Deck on Bravo. Women's audience, 18 to 49, being at a record low, saw the show only finish 13th in women 18 to 49, 7th in men 18 to 49, 8th in 18 to 34, 10th in women 12 to 34, and 8th in men 12 to 34. Below Deck, remember that show, Below Deck? It did 1.22 million and a 0.40 in 18 to 49. The first in a long time that an entertainment show on Monday has beaten Raw. 19th for the night in total viewers. So for those of you that think it's unfair to classify them by 18 to 49, it should only be by total viewers. That would be bad for WWE if we ranked them by total viewers. It is better to rank them by 18 to 49. 10% first to third level drop, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, the first hour, 1.67, second hour, 1.64, third hour, 1.49. So here's the story of these numbers very quickly. It is an all-time record low. That is a horrible, horrible number at 18 to 49. But do you know what the good news is? And there is good news in this number.
What's that?
Well, the good news is they hit an all-time record low in 18 to 49. However, the show was still 8th on cable. So the point of this is there's going to come a time here where they're going to be negotiating for a new television deal, and we're doing all-time record lows. But the fact that a show that does the all-time record low is still 8th on cable for the night, that suggests to me that they're not only going to be getting what they were getting for this deal, but they're going to be getting more. And if anybody thinks otherwise, you're welcome to think otherwise. But the day's going to come, and they're going to get a big increase for their next television deal. And facts like this are why. So there you go. Certainly would be better if they were doing better, but...
Most certainly, but they're in a unique position. And we talk about it with Rampage. Is TNT, are Turner Networks happy with Rampage's performance? Belief is they are. They're very happy with it.
Well, they would have to be, because if you compare it to what the Friday night time slot was doing before Rampage, they were never in the top 50.
Bingo. And what did this give? You know, when you include Major League Baseball in the summertime and hockey and basketball and Adult Swim on Cartoon Network, boy, Turner Networks has a really nice package that they can look at. And I'm not just saying a package because sports is a little bit different, you know, but it's like, you know, here is our late night. If you're between the ages of 18 and 49, if this is who you're targeting, we have those people. And you look at what, you know, how they can sell that, and you look at what kind of property AEW is for them. Well, obviously, that's what WWE is for USA. Now, will their relationship with Fox last the test of time? I don't know. But one thing that certainly has has been their relationship with NBC Universal. And they are very happy, and they are in a unique spot in that sports is going to continue to drive as things change, as we go to more over-the-top services, as we see cable channels maybe disappearing, and we see NBC Sports that's on the way out the door. What happens with True TV and, other things, it just, you don't know what the landscape is going to be, but sports is basically the safest thing you can have to drive viewers to your network. And even though we laugh when WWE positions itself that way, they absolutely can position themselves that way because they are a unique product, and AEW can too. So, yes, these ratings are terrible. This is horrible, and it's not a good look on the creative direction of the company when these numbers continue to happen and we see these breakdowns as the show goes on that people just continue to tune out. But as far as it being a valuable property for TV, if you're a stockholder for WWE, at the end of the day, you shrug and you have nothing to worry about.
AW is bringing back Holiday Bash theme for the Wednesday, December 22nd edition of Dynamite, with this year's edition extending to a special Saturday Christmas night edition of Rampage as well. Yes, Saturday. It is assumed Rampage is airing on Christmas night as opposed to its usual Friday night slot, due to TNT's annual 24-hour marathon of A Christmas Story. Because that show's going to do great. AW is making their debut in Greensboro, North Carolina for that Wednesday's Dynamite. Rampage will be taped afterwards. And that's the story there. We've also got the show coming up tonight from the UBS Arena. They doubled WWE's ticket sales in the same building a week later. But oddly enough, all I heard from WWE was, look at how well SmackDown's doing this week on the West Coast. How is that a fair comparison? Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Welcome back from the commercial on the radio show.
They're still getting over that one, huh?
Yes. Giraffe. You know what Oreo told me? He's going to take a selfie with Giraffe, and he's going to put it on his Twitter later. If you want to check it out.
Wow, look at that.
You want to know his Twitter? Listen very, very carefully, because if you do the wrong one, you're going to regret it.
Well,
at the Oreo the Orca. At the Oreo the Orca. THE Oreo the Orca.
Unless you're an adventure seeker, apparently.
That is his. That's his Twitter. So anyway, NXT 2.0 was last night, and that's a pretty good show, much better than usual, and newsworthy. We had old Von Wagner beating Kyle O'Reilly in a steel cage match. He beat him up, and then he killed him, and he left him for dead. Did you know that both Johnny Gargano and Kyle O'Reilly's deals are coming up? And Kyle O'Reilly was killed, dead, beaten, and smashed afterwards, and we never saw him again. And Johnny Gargano got to come out and cut a long promo. You know what that tells me?
What's that?
I'll tell you later. So then we had a Diamond Mine segment with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker pinned the champion at War Games. He wants a championship match. But then the Diamond Mine came out. And next week, Braun Breaker, who is decidedly not a cruiserweight, will be facing Roderick Strong, which sounds like a very good match. Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs beat the Creed brothers in the damn stupidest, absolute stupidest finish I've ever seen. So, the grizzled young vets are doing commentary. And Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs are the heat's on one of them. I don't know who. Team BJ, JB, Creed brothers, and whatever. One of the BJs is on the apron, and the other guy, he hits a big move and he goes over and right in front of the ref, he makes the most legal of all legal tags. Right in front of the referee, boom, makes a tag. Ref says, "No, you can't come in. You're not holding the tag rope." Turns out that the whatever their names are on the outside, grizzled young vets have stolen the tag rope. but this brother's in the corner. His hand is on the turnbuckle. Like, his hand's not on the rope, but he's in the corner touching the buckle, and the referee won't let him tag in because he wasn't touching a tag rope that wasn't there. So then, as stupid as that is, the ref won't allow the tag, but BJ gets the pin anyway. Everybody looked like an absolute moron here. Every single solitary person involved. The ref looked stupid. The Creed brothers looked stupid. Briggs and Jensen looked stupid. Because, by the way, Briggs or Jensen, whichever, to get the pin, he runs the guy into his own partner, knocks his own partner off the apron. Everybody involved looked stupid. It was mind-blowing. God help me. Then Duke Hudson came out wearing a wig. I'm a sucker for this gimmick because he got his head shaved. Now he's got a wig on. And Cameron Grimes comes out, and they have a argument. And long story short, Cameron Grimes did cheat to beat him. And so they have agreed they're going to do it one more time. And this time it is going to be no holds barred. But I don't think it's going to be for the hair. I think they're just going to have one more match, which actually, you know, they're going back and forth here. And, you know, I love Cameron Grimes more than anything, but Duke Hudson is the young guy. And very easy here. You know, I'm not a huge fan necessarily of 50-50 booking, but in this situation, I think that Duke Hudson needs to beat Cameron Grimes in the no-holds-barred match. He gets a big win over an established star, and Cameron Grimes just has to rip the wig off the guy at the end and expose his bald head, and, like, everybody gets something out of it. So in this situation, I am an advocate for 50-50 booking here. Dexter Lumis beat Carmelo Hayes by DQ. The match was fine, but just appalling finish. He had the move on, and then Trick Williams just ran in for the DQ. Horrible finishes on this show, but that's that. Then MSK finally meets the Shaman, and you know who it is? Riddle. It's Matt Riddle. So Matt Riddle gives him advice. This segment was actually awesome, and it seemed to me, I could be wrong, but it seems to me like they are going to be accompanied by Matt Riddle from this point forward. So I presume he lives in the area and they offered him the deal and he's going to do it for a while or something. Or maybe he's not, I don't know. But as a fan watching it, it sounds to me like Matt Riddle is going to be like MSK's manager from this point forward.
What?
Yeah.
Once again, boy, they got rid of John Morrison? John Morrison wouldn't have been a better shaman?
Well, he would, but I mean, he probably wasn't going to work for free.
I just want to rewind back for a second here because I don't regularly watch NXT, as everyone knows now, but I did watch whatever their War Games, not TakeOver was, and they kept showing all these, vignettes of everybody, and I figured out kind of who everybody is. Apparently Brooks and Jensen are like a walking version of like the Southeastern Conference, like, football on Saturdays and hard seltzer and whatever else they're doing. But like, what are the grizzled young vets now? Are they dirty, rotten scoundrels? What exactly were they doing? What exactly is their role now? And are they the baby faces?
They're learning to cheat, even though they're already cheaters.
So, okay, and the Castor brothers there. So I assume that all of Diamond Mine, they really are baby faces right now. If they're facing Brooks and Dunn or Brooks and Jensen, who are the good teams here? Who are the fan favorites that they want them to cheer for?
Bro, I don't know. Like, did you
what
watch
a
the
show?
Did you watch the
I'm
show?
Asking you. You're the one who's
Bro,
watching
did you
this.
watch War Games? You said you watched it.
I watched it.
It's abundantly clear that what they want is bro. Imperium is supposed to be heels.
3 heel tag teams.
Imperium are supposed to be heels, but they're so, I don't want to say they're incompetent, but like they work a match where all you do is cheer Imperium. I'm watching a show last night and Imperium comes out and everyone's singing their song. They're supposed to be heels, and it's not the fans' fault. It's the way that they're portrayed in the ring. Braun Breaker's supposed to be a babyface. They put him on a heel team. LA Knight, actually, I think is now supposed to be a babyface, so at least that one's clear. But the whole story of War Games was, well, who are you supposed to cheer, but who are you actually going to cheer because of the way the matches are put together? Briggs and Jensen, I think, are supposed to be babyfaces. Imperium are supposed to be heels. Creed brothers, I have no earthly idea. I think they're supposed to be heels, but they've been baby faces for like a month now because they were. Anyway, let me get on with this. We had Toxic Attraction beating Valentina Feroz and Yulissa Leone. Less said about that, the better. Cora Jade then does a promo. She wants a championship match. But then she's in the back with Raquel Gonzalez, and they're both supposed to be baby faces, but Raquel's basically telling her to stay in her lane. Because, whatever. And I like this show, by the way. And then we had Santos Escobar beating Zion Quinn when Lopez put brass knucks on Quinn's hand, but he wouldn't use them because he's too nice a guy, and then he gets beaten. Yeah. Match was all right. We had the Johnny Gargano deal where he actually did this amazing promo. Just talking about how nobody wanted me here. They told me I'd never be in NXT. I don't have the right genetics. But you know what? I came back, and you guys chanted Johnny Wrestling until they actually hired me, and I've been here for years, and I have no confidence in my daily life. The only time I'm confident is in this ring in front of you. Just the greatest babyface promo. And he's not saying he's leaving, but he's strongly, suggesting he's leaving. And then he gets attacked, beaten up, and laid out by Grayson Waller. And I don't think I've ever seen this before, especially on a WWE show, but I don't think on any show. The fans chanted, "Piece of you-know-what," over and over again at Grayson Waller. He got so much heat for beating up Johnny Gargano. And I watched this. I'll talk more about this when we review the shows with Vinny on Thursday, but I think Johnny Gargano is staying for a lot of different reasons. But there's one other thing I got to talk about. Which, yes, this outranks the future of Johnny Gargano because I'm still so irritated by this every time they do it. So, Daddy's girl, Tiffany Stratton, she had another vignette here. She says, "Daddy paid for anything that I wanted. And what I wanted was to do gymnastics. So, Daddy paid for personal training. Daddy paid for private lessons. Daddy made sure that I could be the best gymnast." And she says, "I made the Olympic team." Bro, this is true, okay? They have an Olympic gymnast that they signed, okay? 2016 Olympics. Her name is Jessica Woynilko. Now, granted, she's not Simone Biles, but she's Jessica Woynilko, and she was an Olympian, an Olympic gymnast. So once again, they've changed her name, all right? They're acknowledging her Olympic gymnastics background, but they're changing her name. So two things happen. You Google Tiffany Stratton Olympics, and nothing comes up. So you presume they made up a character for this woman, even though she was actually in the Olympics. Or the other issue is, she becomes a star as Tiffany Stratton, and eventually she leaves to go to AEW, and they'll be like, "Oh man, well at least she can't be Tiffany Stratton." Well, she shows up as Jessica Woynilko, the Olympic gymnast. Why do they do this? We'll speak about gymnastics more with Matt Cross. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. I'm Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Very happy today to be joined by Matt Cross. Got a lot to talk about here today. Matt, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Very good. So tonight on MLW, there's a match coming up with you and the former Enzo Amore. Enzo, you and Enzo tonight.
Right, yeah, styles clash, personalities clash, philosophical clash, and all comes to head tonight.
I have seen so many of your matches and so many of Enzo's matches, and when I heard it was Matt Cross versus Enzo, like my mind was blown. What is happening?
Yeah, you and I both. It's going to be interesting, right? I mean, to me, here's a guy that knows a lot about a little. He was in one place for the lion's share of his career, if not the entirety of it, versus a guy, myself, that's been to 29 different countries all over the world, that offers a unique global perspective on wrestling that no one has ever had before. And how do those two come together? What happens?
I believe that you have been in 28 of those 29 countries in the last 28 days. Is that right? Close?
Yeah, I just did 16 flights in 16 days, which has to be some unfortunate record. It was all over from Washington to North Carolina to Virginia, Maryland, Alaska. It was quite a stretch.
Now, in this day and age, is it even worse with travel right now with COVID, with all the headaches, just dealing with people who seem to be moody as all get out on planes and everything else? Is it even tougher for a pro wrestler to travel now, which I didn't think was possible?
Right. Yeah, I will say that it is because there's just more delays in general from the staffing and things like that. So almost the majority of flights for sure has some sort of delay, so some sort of misconnection. So there is an added level of stress because a lot of times what ends up being our commute to work is something like 7-8 hours. And travel can be grueling, and I think people can identify with that. And what they don't realize is, man, after you get off all these flights and all this stuff, then you start getting punched in the face and falling on your head. So, yeah, it's definitely not gotten any easier, but only the strong survive.
Now, Matt, let's ask the serious questions here, okay? I was once, not personally told, but he told this story. Hulk Hogan said that he had so many flights going back and forth through various time zones that he actually worked 400 days in a 365-day year.
Wow. Okay, so the bar has been set.
Yes. Were you aware that if you traveled enough
I had 8
times,
matches in the last 11 days, so I'm getting close.
So how is your back? Because I was at the Seattle show and your back was jacked up.
Yeah, well, I knew heading into the stretch I was going to have so many shows. I just wanted to do the right thing. The thing about Defy, to me, it's the best independent wrestling crowd in the United States right now.
Yes,
and I really truly believe that. Like, everybody goes there and is such a part of the show and just brings so much energy. So if I wasn't 100%, if I wasn't 99%, I just couldn't do it because that company means so much to me. That match meant so much to me. I was like, I really got to be able to deliver, and just kind of giving it that extra week was what I needed to get back on the road, because now I've had 5 matches or something insane since then. So we're back at it.
It was funny to go to that show, and usually when you go to the indie show, they have the big main event star, and the main eventer wins, and then they do the big speech to the fans and how much they love Defy and how great it is to be here, and you guys are the best fans, blah, blah, blah. We had 3 of those on one show. There was a speech after the opener, then there was a speech after the Nick Wayne match, then there was a speech after the main event, 3 times in one night.
I think that probably, says something about the pandemic and stuff and us being cooped up for so long. I mean, I was saying in the interviews I was doing that we're not back as a whole, as a business, until Defy is back. I felt like that was sort of the litmus test of once they're back, then we can say that things are back. So I think so many of us were just sort of, myself, I was so excited to finally be in Washington Hall, like be back amongst those people. And there's a certain energy and a certain feel that, it's what attracted me to ECW and made me love wrestling in the first place. So it kind of feels alive in that building.
You in your 16 flights in 16 days or whatever it is, one of them was a tour of Alaska. And for most people listening to this right now, you don't think anything about Alaska. I think some of our listeners don't even know that there is an Alaska. But there is. And I think the thing that's interesting to me is in the last year, I have had a surprising number of people that have come on this show that have just gotten back from Alaska. Is this the new frontier of independent wrestling?
Yeah, WrestlePro is running shows in Alaska, so they've been doing 2-3 tours a year. I think their 3-year anniversary is already coming up in April, so guys will be going again. And this was, my second tour this year. That's a place that I never thought I would get the opportunity to go, and to go twice in a year is sort of magical as I make my quest to hit all 50 states. I think I'm at like 41 or 42, and I've got Hawaii and Alaska, so it seems like some of the more difficult ones. So I'm hoping I don't know if anyone's ever done that on the indies, so that's sort of a goal that I set for myself.
I remember many, many years ago, I don't know if it's the same today, but there was wrestling around the Pacific Northwest, but nobody ever ran in Seattle. And obviously Defy does now, but like back in the day, nobody ran in Seattle. And so, there'd be, we're going to go on, we're going to take all the wrestlers down to Cottage Grove, Oregon. And it's like, where is that? And you would always wonder, like, why are you not running Seattle? Why are you running Cottage Grove, Oregon? And the answer was always, well, there's nothing to do in Cottage Grove, Oregon. So you would run the wrestling show there, and then like a ton of people would show up because there was nothing else to do in the town. Whereas in Seattle, you would run a show, and there's like so many things to do in Seattle that it wouldn't draw well. Is it similar in Alaska for these tours? Because, I'm not saying that there's nothing but ice in Alaska, but I mean, is it a situation where you run these tours and like a lot of people show up because it's kind of a smaller area and there isn't really a lot else to do?
I think that was I'm speculating because I'm not running the shows, but I do think that the elements of that were in the idea of the planning stages. Basically they took a giant risk. Like, can we bring a big time professional wrestling event to Alaska? I think WWE may go, but it's, very rare or more rare. So, again, they just took a giant risk. Like, is this viable? Will this work? And you gotta applaud guys to take those risks. I mean, that was Defy, like you said. There just wasn't wrestling in Seattle, so to fly, more or less all the guys in and to do all that legwork and all that work financially and otherwise to take that risk, and it's been rewarded, which is great, because we can all sort of be inspired by those kind of things because it takes somebody to kind of push that button and make those steps. So yeah, I think that was the idea with Alaska. Like, hey, we probably won't have much competition. There's probably not much for these people to do. They've probably heard about all of us on the internet. Now, what happens when we show up in person, and is that sort of a viable business option? And it's been a lot of fun. It's been great. I mean, the high was 0 for the whole time I was there. So just to kind of contend with that and see what really feels like a different world, let alone a different state.
Matt, what's your world like right now when it comes to independent wrestling? Because, you've been around for a minute, so you can kind of probably pick and choose any spot that you want to go to. And obviously you have some tie-in with MLW, and, it's up to you if you want to talk about, your contract situation at all. But when you choose an indie at this point, what exactly are you looking for? And what exactly are promoters approaching you more now? How exactly is life as a guy that's been out on the indies for a while and has seen a lot of changes happen and a lot of people come and go?
Yeah, for sure. I always get asked essentially, like, what's the goal? Like, people are always so fascinated in this, like, end goal or destination, or because that's how they understand conceptually professional wrestling. So it's always which company, which letters are you going to be associated with? And my goal is now and has always been sort of to do exactly what I'm doing. A DIY punk rock kid since 1995. That's all I know. Black flag, get in the van, go out there, do it. So this was my journey through punk rock via wrestling. I'm a one-man band of sorts, and I was like, let me get out there, let me do it, let me see the world, let me get paid to do what I love, which I think for so many of us, if we were asked what our goal is, it probably boils down to something like that. To travel the world doing what you love. So if wrestling was like permanently sustainable, obviously it's damaging on your heart, mind, body, and soul. If that wasn't, I am doing it. Then I won life. If I could just do what I'm doing right now, I say all the time, tons of guys are more famous than me, tons of guys have more money than me, but absolutely no one has more fun in professional wrestling than me. All my trips, I sort of come in early, stay late, take advantage of seeing the places. I mean, all my buddies that have been to their places, we talk about how they've gone here or there, but never got to see anything, never got to do anything. And I have the opposite experience. I've completely immersed myself in so many different cultures, so many different places, to the point where, even in Alaska, it was like people thinking that I'm local, and that's sort of carried on to like everywhere I've been, which even without an accent in Ireland, people are thinking I'm local and stuff like that. And it's like, what? So I've just had this amazing experience, and that's, I just want to continue to have fun doing what I love. I mean, it's like this weekend I'm doing Every Time I Die Christmas shows. So I'm going to go see a bunch of punk rock bands, a bunch of hardcore bands that I love, and I'm being brought there via this avenue of wrestling that is my job. So it's pretty amazing. You just get these insane opportunities. Hopefully I'm heading back to Europe again next year. I've already got sort of Country 29 lined up on my quest for 30. I just want to be the most well-traveled guy of all time, if I'm not already, and to keep that momentum. And there's something to be said for I woke up today and I had absolutely zero fear of losing my job, right? And in this current climate of wrestling, the peace and the calm and to be in sort of a stress-free environment, there's something to be said for that. So, I'm doing it. I've had, in that 16-day stretch, I had 1 day at home, and that 1 day was packing up WrestlingIsForever.com orders. So I'm just keeping this sort of machine of one going.
Well, and is it part of it too, save your money, kid, because, you can, if you do save your money early in your career, hey, spend a little bit more and get yourself there a little bit earlier, get some culture, get some extra rest and go out and see these things. Is that kind of one of those things that you can pass on and one of those things that's important right now, especially in this age of, like WWE signs somebody up, they get rid of them quick and things change fast in this world. Is it kind of now more than ever, if you're going to get that bag, make sure you take it, but secure it, so set yourself up later?
Yeah, and I think that for me goes back to the punk rock thing. I sort of learned so many lessons through music, and one of those being, I'm lucky that I never got caught up in, I don't know, fashion trends or clothing brands or fancy meals, or none of that stuff really ever spoke to me. So it's not, so much what you make, it's what you save. I told someone that at WrestleCade last week in North Carolina, another wrestler, and I won't expose them to whatever degree, but even just saying something as simple as that, it stopped them in their tracks, and they were like, oh yeah. I think people, as soon as they make a little bit more money, they're
these greenhorns.
Yeah, their lifestyle goes up. So it's just, again, keeping in mind that, it's not what you make, it's what you save. So I've always sort of saved everything, and this could all end tomorrow for every single one of us. I'm acutely aware of that, and I try to act accordingly.
Well, hold that thought. Back in a moment, everybody. Observer Live.
How many pay-per-views?
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Tonight, Matt Cross versus Enzo for MLW. It'll be taking place MLW Fusion Alpha tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. You can watch it for free on YouTube. Major League Wrestling's YouTube channel. I've retweeted it. You can check it out there. And Matt, let's get some plugs in for MLW and whatever you've got coming up, which sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I'm personally looking forward to checking out the match, like you just said tonight. It's going to be a good one. I hope everybody enjoys it. I'll be watching myself. And then, the best way to support me remains WrestlingIsForever.com. I ship out all the orders personally. I'm writing thank you notes personally. So if you want to support a guy like myself, there has never and will never be another Matt Cross. If you want to help keep the show on the road, on the open road as it is, that's where to do it, WrestlingIsForever.com.
All right, and of course, M-Dog Matt Cross on Twitter as well, and stickied up there at the top. Actually, not stickied, but there's a lot of information about all of that up there, including the link to the match tonight. And Matt, I want to thank you so much for doing the show today, and best of luck with everything. There is definitely, as you noted, something to be said for just living your best life. And if you're able to go out there and do everything you love and get paid for it and stay healthy, what more can you ask for?
Exactly. You nailed it. That's the summary.
Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for doing the show today. And, of course, thanks, everybody, for listening. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Back later on tonight, Wrestling Observer Radio for subscribers at WrestlingObserver.com. Check it out. And that's it. We'll talk to you again next time, Wrestling Observer Live.